Hi, so we're going to take a look at RoboMQ and what it can do. So there are two main parts: the operational support features, which include the sort of browsing, Q browsing, MQ series, IBM's MQ series and JMS brokers, and monitoring of resources that you might be interested in. So these tabs across the top sort of control the access to the main parts of the application. This current configuration tab is where you specify the details of the target system you want to connect to, and that can be WebSphere MQ or it can be a JMS broker. Anyone that supports JMS is easy to support. The Browse tab shows you what we currently have in the database, what queues and endpoints we have. The red ones mean that the things are SSL secured. You have additional information to specify, such as the key store, certificates and such like, and you can browse the key store, see what the details of that are, and it tells you if you can read and write to it. If we pick a test queue manager, click on this, so we're connected to this broker, this queue. There are no messages, and we can read and write. The injection tab allows me to publish, so let's publish a little test message. Test hello world. If I publish that, the queue depth has gone to 1. I can see the data there, and then I have a bunch of options. I can treat the message like a file on a file system. So I could copy this message. It's on the clipboard. I could pick a new queue and just paste it. If I wanted to manipulate that data first, I can collect back to my queue. I can send it to the built-in editor, and I can send it back to the injection window, and then I can publish it. So very quickly, I can take the data from one source, manipulate that data, send it to somewhere else, across queue managers, different brokers, whatever you want. It supports large it has large capabilities for message browsing. So that with the pagination, it's been tested to 2 million messages on the queue, which is more than you're going to need. It has archiving, so if you were perhaps wanting to replay a user story where you create trade, edit trade, cancel trade, let's say those 3 messages constitute your user story, you might want to be able to replay that over and over again. So if we create, modify, and cancel, we now have these 3 messages on the queue. So let's archive them. Backup queue as a binary archive. So we'll stick it in our little demo folder and we'll save it. So let's say we went to Q2 and we wanted to restore that, and maybe we've got an application that's going to consume those messages, and we want to be able to replay and retest that application without going back to our business users and getting them to re-input all of their test data. This is where you might use that. So let's restore from the archive, and here's the file, and there's our 3 messages back. Monitoring. One of the indicators that your service is not well is that the queue depth starts to build up. The reason is that the application that should be consuming and processing the messages is either not working or it's not working fast enough. You also may end up in a situation where you have a service level agreement where you have to process messages within a given time. So the monitoring firstly will warn you if the queue depth exceeds a certain level, but it will also record the queue depth into its database at whatever sample frequency you select. So if you ever end up in a situation where you have to, prove your SLA to the business users. The data can be extracted, and also you've got metrics from the execution side that will tell you best case, worst case, message processing latency. So if you know your worst case latency, say it's a second, and you know that over a 6-month period the queue depth never exceeded 10 messages, you know that your worst case latency is 10 seconds. So let's go to the monitoring tab, and we have queue monitors, channel monitors, and runner monitors. Again, the channel monitor is about defending the infrastructure against badly written applications that don't clean up. The channels are a resource, and if they're consumed, nothing else can connect, and it causes problems. The runner monitors are the runtime container stuff, which we'll get to later. But let's create a queue monitor for the current active connection. So we're going to monitor ChrisTemp2. Let's say that we'll allow 7 messages. The max time over is to prevent sort of spurious warnings if it spikes. But for the purposes of this, let's just set it to 1. We'll sample every second, and we won't send an email alert because it's a test. So if we create that monitor, status is green, the current depth is 3, limit is 7 messages for 1 second, max historical is 3. So we can see that on a chart. So we can see the blue line is the current depth and the red line is the limit. Now if we go back to the injection tab and we publish some test messages to push it over the limit, and go back to the monitor tab, the next time the graph upcharts, you should see the status go yellow to say that it's exceeded the limit, and eventually it will go red. Wait a second. So you can see now it's, if the email alerts were activated, you'd be getting warned. We can go back to the browse tab and we can remove a few of these, which should put us back within tolerances, and this should then go green. So we can also extract, we can show an incident chart to see how many incidents we've had, and we've only had 1. And we can download the events as a CSV, which you could then put into Excel and draw graphs and stuff, pretty pictures. Okay, that's all for this tutorial.